Did you know that the same strategies that you use to help you to become successful, meaning getting the marriage, getting the home, getting the job, getting the career, getting the job title, getting the education, getting the degrees, living in the zip code, getting the vacations that you get to have, all those things that you have that you identify with. I'm a father, I'm a mother, I'm an executive, I'm a manager, I'm a director, I'm a leader, all those things that got you to those titles that you hold so strongly for your identity. And you may not just be proud of it, but also your parents, your in laws, your neighbors, your friends, other family members, they admire you for those same strategies that got you to where you are now and that you're currently uh, going somewhere to get some help for a physical problem that you have. Maybe headaches, migraines, low back pain, neck pain, shoulder pain, hip pain, weakness, even anatomical problems like tears, um, difficulty sleeping, poor digestion, always amped up, mind racing at night, all those things. Um, the same strategy that you use to become successful, you'd be pretty surprised that that same strategy, uh, you may need to reframe that and look at it a different way in the process of resolving the the pain or the anatomical tear or the changes and adaptations that you make in your lifestyle because of where you are now in your life and who you've become. So for those listening here, I know this sounds backwards, but we see this time and time again um, at our office at Total Potential. It's we're here to help people reach their total potential, if you will, and it's more than just physical, because high achievers, they're constantly going for deadlines. But could it be that your body has been trying to tell you something? It's been trying to get your attention, and you've been moving super fast like a NASCAR F1 race car, and uh, and you haven't paused long enough to sharpen your saw, if you will. And there was probably clues that you had along the way, but now there's a point of no return, and now you're looking for professional help, and that's where we come in. So at Total Potential, we admire your discipline. We admire your perseverance. We truly admire the grit that you have. Certainly, I had to have all those things to get to where I'm at. But of course, I've learned to do it in a different way, and that's why I'm here to teach you how to do it in a different way. Many of our we get a lot of patients that different types of patients that come in here. We get CEOs, we get other healthcare professionals, we get business owners, parents, athletes, engineers, teachers, people who are highly accomplished, have professional careers, and everyone depends on them, whether it's their neighbor, friends, or neighbors, friends, or clients or patients. They all depend on them. But because now you're having this problem, it's hard to be genuinely be present with the people who need you. And so those same characteristics are working against you because the human body, doesn't reward your success. It actually responds to the physiology. So think about it. If you spend a decade rewarding yourself, ignoring discomfort, the sleep, the hip pain, the low back pain, um, not eating right, not drinking enough water, um, not being mindful of your digestion, and even if you were, there's still some missing pieces that brought you here. And so that strategy that you're using before isn't working. The thing is that your body doesn't care about your resume. Ironically, the opposite is often true. When you actually go to the process of healing, you get to create a place of safety. That is what when your mind gets to a place of safety, your body also gets to place of safety, and so it starts to get grounded, and so the healing process can start. And when there's a good healing process, you get improved circulation, you get decreased inflammation, your movement becomes less conscious and more automatic. And because more automatic, it becomes more efficient. The nervous system stops living as though every day is an emergency. And it's not about being stronger, it's about creating the internal environment that allows the healing to occur. So, with that said, of course, you get all these different patients that come in here to Total Potential. And many people assume that the hardest part is actually the treatment here. But in reality, because we go for the root cause healing, and 9 times out of 10, when the root cause healing, it's, to be honest, we put our heart and soul into each treatment and plan of care. But 9 times out of 10, it comes down to patient responsibility. And that's something that you get to hear. Um, it's the hardest part is taking an honest look at the patterns that you have in your life. The deepest, the best therapeutic intervention is not necessarily what I'm doing. Uh, I'm only part of it. It's a professional relationship. If it's not working, then you probably have to look at yourself. So, questions you can ask are: what am I unwilling to stop doing? What have I normalized that isn't actually normal? What am I afraid will happen if I slow down? Who would I be if I weren't constantly achieving? Am I treating symptoms while protecting the habits that are creating them? And these aren't comfortable questions. They're, when you actually ask them to yourself, it it forces you to put yourself in a position that when you actually answer them and you deal with them, you get to deal with them, they become incredibly freeing. So, here at Total Potential, we don't treat bodies, we actually treat people, the person, you. Your body is more than just the knee or the elbow or the low back or the neck. It's who you are, the drive that you had to take to get here, the responsibilities that you have to the people that are next to you, where you were, who you are now, and the type of person that you want to be. When your low back pain resolves, what does that give you? When your neck pain resolves, what type of person would you become? Yes, we evaluate joints, muscles, fascia, viscera, the nervous system, movement patterns, circulation, breathing, lymphatic function, and cellular performance. But we spend the time understanding you. This is just so important, and this is the value that you get with the one-on-one care. Your body doesn't exist separately from your life. Your work, your relationships, stress, beliefs, routines, sleep, nutrition, your recovery habits, they're all speaking the same language, and your body hears every word. And as you're watching this and you're listening to my voice, you'll come to realize that healing often begins where the awareness starts. So you got to ask those questions. And many people come to us. They say they tried everything. They got an MRI, they don't feel better. They tried injection, exercises, massage, traditional physical therapy, chiropractic care, medications. They tried rest. They tried strength training, stretching, sometimes even surgery. Yet they still don't feel like themselves. Why? Because sometimes nothing is wrong with the treatment. There's a common denominator here, right? And it's you. Imagine, imagine this. So if you had, if you're trying to plant, let's say, a potted plant, okay, whatever it may be, maybe a daisy, okay, you're trying to plant a daisy, so you got a daisy seed, and you put it in a potted plant uh, with unhealthy soil, right? So it's a healthy seed with unhealthy soil. You put that seed in there, you water it. Do you think that daisy seed would sprout? Do you think it would break through the soil? Do you think it would even grow and thrive? But what if the seed, but would changing that seed change what you would get? A daisy. So let's say you say, oh, that didn't work. Let me get another daisy seed, right? And so you do 6 weeks, 4 weeks, just trying to grow this daisy seed. Oh, it didn't work. You do another one, 4 weeks, 6 weeks. That didn't work. If that didn't work, wouldn't it be insanity if you just kept doing the same strategy? How about if we improved the soil? If we changed the soil and put healthy soil there, don't you think that that would create entirely different possibilities? Your body works the same way. So here's something fascinating. Many successful people unknowingly continue using performance strategies during the recovery. They say, I'll push harder, I'll ignore it, I don't have time, I'll sleep later, I'll deal with it after this project. I live with this long, maybe I could do a little bit longer. No, we're doing our best. We're winding down the nervous system. We're doing patient education. We're treating the dura. We're doing some fascial work. We're treating the brain. Okay, we're treating the viscera. We're doing all the right things as indicated, but it just doesn't seem like enough. So, don't you think it makes sense that something else needs to take place? Are we the problem? I mean, you went everywhere, right? I mean, does that make sense? You went everywhere and the results haven't improved. There's no quick fix here. I'm really sorry. True healing, deep healing, there is no quick fix. I had this one patient. She had knee surgery. She had cervical fusion. Uh, low back surgery, discectomy, et cetera, et cetera. And she was on the board of this nonprofit organization. She had 3 children. She drove s you know uh, a nice car everywhere. She dressed nice. She had important position as executive for a full-time paying job, and no matter what we did, it just wouldn't resolve. The only thing that helped her um, was to get more surgery, which is a very aggressive form of intervention. She just wasn't ready um, for holistic care. As much as she wanted health, she could not give up, um, her board position. She couldn't give up her executive job. She couldn't give up the nice car that she drove. Um, She couldn't give up worshiping her children. And eventually it catches up. Um, the body asks for a different strategy. It starts with a whisper, and then a word, and then a yell, and eventually you've crossed the line, and now you got to get surgery. And all this is not because you failed, but it's because you reached a place where you got where you are now, but the same strategy that you're using may not help you in getting to where you want to go. So, what if recovery wasn't about doing more? What if it was about doing what matters most? What if lasting improvement came from creating conditions your body has been waiting for so long? What if the next level of your health required the same courage that built your success to redirect it inward instead of outward? Perhaps because the greatest act of discipline isn't working harder, and it's about examining the habits that no longer serve you. And sometimes this is where the transformation truly begins. We have some uh, we have some patients that come here, and um, they come here because they've heard that we can help with transformation, not just pain or dizziness or um, trying to run a business on the other side of the world, and so they live here on Pacific Standard Time, but they're living uh, their life at a different time zone on a different continent, right? So sleep and uh, and obligations are stress on the body or lack of sleep thereof. And so sometimes we get these patients that come in here and they reach their goal, and we may not see them for a while, for like a year or two. And when we reach out to them to hear how they're doing, they used us as a tool to begin their transformation. Something about going through a process, a truly transformative process for their body, which probably started with a need that their body had that was prohibiting them not just from the success in their life, but getting what they really want, like a happy marriage, love and respect from their children, etc. Um, it was so wonderful to hear that their transformation began with us. So, in case you haven't noticed, we're a little different. Um, our mission isn't simply to reduce pain. We really help our patients and you to uncover the true barriers preventing your body from expressing its full potential. This means looking beyond symptoms, beyond the diagnosis, beyond the tests, the imaging, or even just getting some temporary relief only for it to come back. We look at the entire human system. Um, we use the model of the efficient human condition and the efficient human movement system rather than just range of motion 150 degrees, range of motion 180 degrees. We're looking for what is best for you, your body type, where you are in life. Are you retired? Are you still working? Or just newly married, just bought your own house, uh, working your butt off to get to your dream college or grad school, or to get to that CIF game and win it. All on the way, everyone has learned something about themselves just spending time with us. So, are you ready to discover what's really holding you back? If you've been doing everything right, but you still aren't where you want to be, maybe the next breakthrough isn't another exercise, it isn't just more injections, more spinal manipulations, or to get a second opinion or a third opinion. There's something more quiet, an invisible strategy that you get to discover about yourself. And when you're aware of it and then you recognize it, that's where the shift truly begins. And we are here to support that. We're able to support that. If you're ready for comprehensive, holistic, and integrative mind body connection one on one evaluation that looks beyond your diagnosis and considers who you are, please visit us at Total Potential Physical Therapy, because sometimes the greatest healing begins the moment that you're willing to examine what has always been hiding in plain sight. Hope to see you soon.